Hello, this is my math lesson take two. I recorded it once and then somehow it didn't save. Gotta love it. Um, we have been working with decimals and we've worked with adding and subtracting decimals. The thing we've focused on there is making sure you line up your decimal point. When it comes to multiplying though, you do not have to do that. If I were to multiply two numbers together that are decimals, example, I have 3/10 times 4/10. I'm going to ignore the decimal points to start with. I'm just going to take my 3 times 4. Hopefully you know 3 times 4 is 12. Then I'm going to count my number of places that are to the right of the decimal point. So in this case, I had 1, 2. That means in my answer, I also need to have 2 numbers to the right of the decimal point. So if I place my decimal here, that answer would be correct. For our first lesson, which is 4.1, we are just going to work with multiplying times base 10. That way you don't have to get stuck on the multiplication side yet, because everything will be times 1. You'll be using the same digits. An example of that would be if I had 3 and 5/10, and I multiplied that times 10 to the 0 power. Hopefully you remember 10 to the 0 power is actually only 1. This was represented as 1. So my answer here is going to remain 3 and 5/10. If I want my number to get larger, my base 10 has to as well get larger. So I could take my 3 and 5/10 times 10, and I'll jump up to 10 to the 2nd power. When you are multiplying times a base 10, you are going to be moving your decimal point to the right. That way your answer or your sum gets larger. In this case, since I'm just multiplying by 10, I am going to move my decimal point, the number of exponents, so 2 places to the right. You could write the number down and use a magnet or use a bead or something as the decimal point and physically move it if you need to, if that helps. Because I know sometimes actually moving it can help a person to visualize it a little bit better. I am fine with just drawing the arrows. And then if I do that and there's not a number here, we know we have to add a placeholder. So in this case, 3.5 times 10 to the 2nd, I moved my decimal point 2 places to the right, and I have to put a placeholder in there. So my answer should be 350. With that, this is showing an increase, or the number is getting larger. If I multiply times a decimal, my answer will actually get smaller though. So my example, if I have 3 and 5/10, like I've been doing, and I'm going to multiply it times 1/100th. You'll have to look at this and go, okay, I have to move my decimal point 2 places, but it's going the opposite direction. You could also say, how many points do I have to the right of the decimal altogether? I had 1, 2, 3. That means we have to have 3 digits to the right of my decimal point. In this case, I started here. I move 1 place, 2 places. I will put my decimal point here and then add a placeholder. So my answer would be 35 thousandths. So if I'm multiplying times a decimal, remember my decimal point is going to move to the left. If I'm multiplying times a whole number or a whole base 10, I'm moving my decimal point to the right. This is a pattern that you will see on the assignments. So let's say you saw 97 and 4/10 times 10 to the 0. 97 and 4/10 times 10 to the 1st. And it continued to go. Each time you're moving your decimal point this many places. If you move it 0 places, well, you're going to start with the same thing. If you move it 1 place, you're going to move it to the right 1 place. Moving it 2 places, to the right 2 places. With that, we've worked with that a lot on our morning work assignments. If we are multiplying times a decimal, it's kind of just like, it's like dividing, but I'll stick with just moving our decimal. If I had times 0.1, that means I'm going to be moving my decimal point 1 place to the left, okay? Let's say if I had 0.01. Again, I'm going to move my decimal point to the left 2 places, 1 place, 2 place. Hopefully that makes sense for you. If it doesn't, please let me know and I'll go over it with you again. You may also see a little bit of algebra in this. I know algebra scares a lot of people because it adds letters and with numbers, and then everybody thinks it's super difficult. Well, it's not really, okay? If I were to give you a problem that was, say, 7 3/10 times, and then I put the letter N. That means this N represents a number, okay? So 7.3 times N equals, let's say I put 730. You have to ask yourself, how many places did that decimal point move? Notice I have the same digits, 73, 73, right? Since I have the same digits, it's just going to be by a base of 10. And if you notice, it moved the decimal point 2 places to the right. So my answer for N, is going to be 10 to the 2nd power because I moved it 2 places. Hopefully that makes sense for you. You are going to complete HMH 4.1. And if you get stuck on it, remember you can always use the step-by-step to walk you through it. If you would prefer to do something pencil and paper and you have your math book with you, you can tear out page 237 to complete those problems. You can also look back at the few pages before 237 to see the lesson if you want to walk through that too. Hopefully you guys understand, since we did a lot of this last week when we were doing our little hidden picture with multiplying times space 10 where we had the Halloween pictures. I will also assign a few IXLs, and those IXLs are to be completed throughout the week. If you complete 1 each day, then you should be able to get them completed with no problem at all by Friday. There is a short video at the top of this page that shows you how to get to IXL from home. The app will not work for you at home, so you have to go through Safari. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.